Day.
And I'm Richard Day.
We're both chiropractors.
We've been in practice together for 11 years.
Married for 10.
With 3 beautiful little girls.
We know it's possible to have an exceptional practice that's built around your life.
Because we've done it.
So we've created this podcast,
the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast.
We'll interview chiropractors, answer questions, and bring you resources to help build and grow your practice.
So let's get this party started.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Haley Day, and today we are talking about what should you do after graduation? What options do you have? And what can you be doing during school to figure all of this out? So hopefully you aren't waiting until you graduate, pass Part 4 boards, and get your license to figure it out. Let's work on it today, and hopefully you've been working on it already, but if not, today is the day. First, I'm going to talk about what you could be doing from day one since you enter school, what you should be doing your last year, and then what your options are after you graduate. I also have a couple questions from you all that you DM me on Instagram, and I appreciate that. So stay tuned to the end to learn a lot. This is a big podcast, lots of information in the hopes of helping you all have some aha moments and help you get on track to having the best possible successful future. So while you're in school, these are the things you should be doing. You could even start them if you stumbled upon this podcast before you start school. And if you haven't done any of them yet, please start today, okay? Because it's never too late to start a good habit. The first thing I'm going to talk about is shadowing doctors. This will really help you hone in on your practice focus that you want in the future. And what do you really love about chiropractic and how you want to treat and run your practice? So you can shadow doctors around the school, around your hometown when you go back for breaks, near vacation spots just for a couple hours one day, or find chiropractors doing what you think you want to do and travel to them and spend a day with them and really see what you like and what you don't like about their practice. Number 2, you can work in an office. I worked in an office all through school. It was great. I learned a lot about what I wanted to take into my practice, a lot about what I didn't want to do. And it was a great opportunity for me to really think about those things and gain practical knowledge about running a practice. You can meet mentors, other chiropractors that are doing what you want to do, other chiropractors that are just super nice and willing to kind of help guide you. And your teachers are good mentors. So be nice to them. You can visit locations you're interested in and start building relationships in those communities. So for us, we were moving to Colorado, not near anyone we knew, and we joined the chamber. We went back there several times to look for where we wanted to live, where we thought a good practice location would be, all of those things, and then to start building the relationships that we wanted there. Next, get smart about money. So I've done a podcast and blog about this, and you really want to work on building up a savings. And if you are having a hard time with money, download our savings checklist and budget worksheet. It's on our blog. It'll be in this podcast notes, which is at lifestylepracticebuilders.com/blog/145. So you can find a link there to download the savings checklist and budget worksheet, or DM me and I'll send it to you. And then the last thing is be serious. Start adulting now. You want to start creating habits that you're going to need in practice to succeed. So a good work ethic, good personal habits, a daily routine, and continual self-growth. This is something that we work on constantly in our house, and you should be too. So shadow doctors, work in an office, meet mentors, visit locations you're interested in, get smart about money, and start adulting now. During your last year in school, you'll need to start working on a plan for after graduation, because really, I think that 3 months out from graduating, you really should have a good idea of what your plan is. It's not a surprise to you. You're starting to kind of lay down those concrete ideas and really working on a plan. Today, I'll talk about the 2 choices you have and the 5 most popular options under those 2 choices in hopes of helping you narrow down what's right for you. So It's important that you listen to the different reasons we discuss in this episode. There might be things you haven't thought about. There are some red flags you do want to think about and steer clear of making mistakes. And, we all make mistakes. It's not the end of the world if you choose the wrong associate position or the wrong place to open up, but you want to make the best decision you can. And listening to this podcast will hopefully help you get there. Now, when Rich and I both went to school, we knew we wanted to open our own practices. We didn't know we were going to open together, but we both really were excited to open our own business. And after working with hundreds of you guys, we've seen how different options are right for different chiropractors, depending on where they're at in life and their goals and where they're planning to live and those kinds of things. So I also hate to say it, but I've seen several chiropractors that thought they had a good, solid plan, but then as it got closer to graduation, a major piece fell through and they needed a plan B or sometimes a plan C. So keep listening because things change and you want to be open to the best opportunity for you when you graduate. So let's get to the main topic we're talking about today. You have two main choices to choose between. Do you want to work for someone else, or are you ready to start your own business? If you want to work for someone else at first, then you're choosing to become a chiropractic associate, which is working for another chiropractor as an employee. And it's the first of the 5 options I'm going to talk about today. When you are hired as a chiropractic associate, your place of employment is going to tell you what to wear, when to work, and most often how you're going to exam and treat the patients. There are a lot of things to know about when you choose to become an associate, which is what we're talking about all month. An associate position is an awesome way to gain clinical experience and business savvy before you open your own business. It's also a great way for someone to practice without taking on the responsibility or extra work of owning the business. We'll really go into depth about becoming an associate on the podcast over the next month. So even if you think you want to be an associate, keep listening though, because we've helped a lot of students that thought they wanted to be associates but changed their mind with either a little confidence boost from us or they realized that wasn't the ideal thing for them to do because they were moving back home and signing a non-compete in an area that they wanted to practice for the next 10 or more years maybe wasn't ideal for them. So stay tuned, listen to what we're talking about because you never know what happens those last few months of school. If you think you're ready to start your own business, then the following 4 options are your primary choices. Also, if you're in this group, then you're the reason we developed the Chiroplanner, the Foundation, and the ROF system because we think having a step-by-step guide to get you started will help tremendously. And also, having the right systems right from the start will give you more chances for success. So if you're interested in learning more about any of those, visit our website and click resources on the top right. You can learn more about them there. Let's break down your choice of working for yourself. If this is you, then the following 4 options are what you'll need to consider. There are other things that you can do, of course, but these are the main things that we see students when they graduate come out of school and start doing. The first option is to become an independent contractor. So an independent contractor typically rents a space in another office, either a chiropractic office, an acupuncture office, a massage therapist office. You're just renting one room and nothing else. There is a little confusion online and in practices about the difference between being an associate and being an independent contractor. And if you want to get clear on that, then listen to episode number 123. But for our discussion today, an independent contractor, or sometimes referred to as an IC, is someone renting a space in a larger office. So we have 2 independent contractors in our office, and they both only rent the office space that they have for their table, their desk, but they use our therapies to treat their patients, and they're running their own businesses out of our office. So they have their own EHR, they have their own way of doing things. They wear what they want, they treat when they want, all of that. We think this is the ideal first step for most of you. If you're where you'd like to live long term and you're wanting a private practice, it's a great way to get started on your own without all the hefty expenses of taking on your own lease, buying all your own equipment, or having the overhead of a larger office. A lot of doctors even stay as an IC long term because it allows them the flexibility of working less hours to do other things. Your second option is to start your own office. It's like being an IC on steroids. So you can still do this on a budget, but you'll need more savings to get started and carry you through the higher overhead, because you're going to either sign a 3 or 5 or even 10-year lease to have your own office space, and you'll need that savings to get you through until you're profitable enough to cover your work expenses and your home expenses. This was the option we chose when we started. It's a giant leap, but if you feel confident in your clinical experience, you know where you want to live, and you're confident in your ability to start and grow a business, then this might be the right choice for you. So we've talked about becoming an independent contractor and opening your own office. Your third option to own your own business is to buy a practice. This most often will require considerable savings, a bank loan, and or an investor that's willing to take a shot on you. If you're interested in buying a practice, then listen to episode number 136. It's an interview that I did with Progressive Practice Sales. There are a lot of benefits to buying a practice, but a lot of red flags to look out for and things to know before moving ahead with the purchase. Getting a loan may not be as hard as you think, and having a well-oiled machine can really help you get started. So listen to episode number 136 if you're interested in buying a practice. The last option for starting your own business is that you can start a house call or concierge practice where you treat patients either at their office or in their home. This is kind of the newer thing, or it's more popular now. And if it interests you, then listen to episode number 128. It's an interview I did with house call chiropractor Lucas Martian. That's a great way to start with little overhead, even less than an independent contractor. So to recap, you'll first need to decide whether you want to work for yourself or work for someone else. If you work for someone else, then you'll need to start looking for positions as a chiropractic associate. If you want to work for yourself, then you have a few more options. You could become an independent contractor, open your own office, buy a practice, or start a house call practice. We're going to continue to dive deep into each of these options in the coming weeks. So continue listening to the podcast and send us your questions on Instagram and join us in our Facebook group to further the conversation. Here's some questions I've received on Instagram that I promise to address on the podcast. If you want to submit a question, find us on Instagram and DM me there at Lifestyle Practice or Dr. Haley Day, DrHaleyday. So the first question I got on Instagram this week was, what are the best ways to keep overhead low? And this is a great question for us because this was one of our primary goals when we first started. Rich and I opened our office on a dime. It was nice, but not Pinterest worthy. We bought most of our furniture from Craigslist, a new x-ray unit, and we were the only professionals in town with an x-ray, which was really cool. But we kept expenses low and lived lean and mean. We're actually planning a much more in-depth share of all of this in the coming months. We put together an entire talk that we shared. We had created a workbook and we shared it at Cleveland, Palmer, Florida, and National University of Health Sciences in Florida. So if you'd like us to come talk to your club or at your school, then reach out to us and connect. And we would love to come out there, especially if your school is near a beach. So when we were starting, we had a few rules in order to keep our overhead low because that was one of our main goals. Anything we bought could be cheap, but not look cheap. We put money where it really mattered. We had a nice lobby. We had our x-ray. We bought picture frames, poster frames. We wanted our patients to feel comfortable, like almost like they were at home or a Starbucks. And we reminded ourselves constantly, though, that it was version 1.0 and that wasn't going to be Pinterest worthy. It was nice, but we knew we'd have another chance to have nicer offices. We now have a nicer office than we did then, and we're planning an even nicer office for the future. So that helps us not feel like it has to be perfect, just perfect for right now. We also lived lean and mean, and we were willing to continue living like a student for a few years to live better after. We wanted to keep our overhead low at home as well as at the office so that the savings we had would get us through until we were profitable enough to cover both. One of the easiest ways to keep your overhead low is to start as an independent contractor or house call chiropractor and grow your practice before moving it into your own space. This is best if you're really committed to building your own office office, but don't have the savings. There are so many ways to go about opening an office, and you really have to be creative and think outside of the box. And if you've hopped on a call with us, if you buy a Chiroplanner, you get in the foundation, you'll have a call with us. And we really like to look at all of these ways you can be creative, use what you have, and get a good start with what you have. Another question I got was, what do I recommend for some of the new grads out there that are looking for associate positions, but they aren't paying adequately when you have so much debt and COVID is maybe affecting all of this? So first off, I want to address high student loans. I record a podcast, episode number 142. I definitely think you should go listen to that. Depending on where you're at, keeping your student loans low will really benefit you and give you more options after graduation. So it's worth looking into and trying out. I really think keeping your student loans low helps with your anxiety. It helps with making choices during school and after school. So listen to episode number 142. And back to the question. I do talk to associates finding jobs almost daily. So I know that there are good jobs out there and people are finding great positions and the potential out there is good. So I'm going to touch on a few things. I think that you need to be resilient and resourceful, and you really need to make sure that you're the ideal associate for that position. So are you doing everything that you can to make yourself that ideal associate for that position? If not, then stay tuned because we are putting an ideal associate course together. But you need to make sure that you have all of those qualities that someone's going to desire in an associate when they bring them on. The second thing that you're going to need to think about is that who are you surrounding yourself with? Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with positive people and don't let people bring you down. Put on blinders if you have to and just really move yourself forward and not pay attention to the naysayers, the negative Nancys, because these people that are finding jobs, they aren't on Facebook lamenting their problems. They are actually out there busting their butts, doing well. And there are so many success stories every day. You can be one too. You've got to be resourceful. You've got to be resilient. And you need to make sure that you are doing things that you need to be doing to make yourself a better version of you. You need to be the best associate available for that position. Third, you might have to take a lower paying job to prove yourself. And typically most jobs have a bonus structure that if you can grow your patient base, which is going to be on you to go market yourself, to network and meet people and bring them in to grow your salary and focus on that part of the offer. And that's one of the things we'll touch on in the Ideal Associate course is making sure that that salary, that bonus structure is going to benefit you. You guys, we have big plans to really help you over the next 6 months. We put a strategy together, podcast to put together to talk about on Facebook Lives and YouTube videos and to really get you guys so that you are making the right choices for yourself. So if you haven't, find our Facebook group. You can DM me for the link. You can find us on Instagram at Lifestyle Practice or Dr. Haley Day. If you have extra time, go read the blogs I've written. I've spent so much time writing those, and there's so much good information that can really help you out. If you are looking for any information on any of the podcasts, you can find them at lifestylepracticebuilders.com/blog/145 or whatever episode you're looking for. We're here to help you. And all that we ask of you is that you keep listening, that you share our podcast, go on Apple Podcast and give us a review. Go on Facebook, give us a review. If you've bought a Chiroplanner, please go to the Facebook page for the Chiroplanner and leave us a review for that. Share a picture of your Chiroplanner on Instagram. We love those. And we hope you have an awesome day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys, that you are better able to make the decisions that you need for yourself. Next week, we're going to talk about some of these elements of what is going to help you make these choices. So if you're still kind of on the fence between what you should do, come back next week, listen to the next podcast episode, and find us on Facebook and Instagram. Have an awesome day.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with your friends on Instagram and Facebook. And for those of you who are already subscribers, we really appreciate it. Thanks for the review reviews. We love reading those and knowing that you're loving the podcast. If you're looking for more tips and inspiration, be sure to check us out at lifestylepracticebuilders.com or join our business and marketing Facebook group for chiropractors at facebook.com/group/lifestylepractice.